On this slide, down there you have the picture of the crown of fruit benches at the top of a tree. And here you have a tool which is held by a worker. And at the top of this rod you have a cutting blade. And with a cutting blade it's possible to cut the peduncle of a bunch, and the bunch is falling down. This is the harvesting of palm fruits. Bunches are then carried to the oil mill. And here you have an idea of the size of the fruit. Well, you can compare this to a small apricot. The oil is inside the pulp. In the fruit you have a stone, and in the stone you have a kernel. And the palm kernel oil is very different from the palm oil. And Dr. Extra spoke a little about palm kernel oil. The composition of palm kernel oil is very close to coconut oil. This is very special for, I think it's the only fruit which is presenting this feature. So I will go very quickly on this table because Albert spoke a lot. Oh, sorry. What happened? It's very sensitive. Huh? Yes, but I think yes. So I'll just spoke about the palm oil. As said Dijkstra, this is the first production in the world, far away before the other oil. And you see that this oil is the cost of this oil is the cheaper. This oil is the cheaper, and moreover, it's the most stable for cooking. You can see also that the production per hectare is very high, and if you want to speak about the clearing of a rainforest, you see that you need 10 times less space for oil palm compared to soybean. Moreover, oil palm is producing fruits all the year because it's a tropical plant. And soy is annual and is producing just once, and you are obliged to make a new crop the next year. So this is also a very big advantage. Here I like always to compare those three fats: lard, palm oil, and cocoa butter. I will go very fast on the composition because Dijkstra spoke about it. I would like just to emphasize on the saturated content of free oil and the unsaturated content of free oil. You see that they are very similar. We can see that it's a 50%, very roughly, 50% saturated and 50% unsaturated. Nevertheless, you can see that cocoa butter has a high content of saturated, 10% more than palm oil. And this oil is never criticized, maybe because it is secreted, because the chocolate is secreted, I don't know. But if you want to demonize saturated fatty acid, and if you demonize lard and palm oil, you have also to demonize cocoa butter. Well, of course, unsaturated fatty acids is a complement. Just a word about position 2. In triglycerides, you have 3 positions, 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if it's giving some idea to you, but biologically it's very important. And pancreatic lipase, which is used for the digestion of fats, is recognizing position 1 and 3 only, and the position 2 is left on the fatty acid of position 2 are left in this position, and 2 monoglycerides or beta monoglyceride are going through the intestine wall and are metabolized. This means that if in your food intake you have if you have a lot of lard, you have a lot of saturated fatty acids which are going through the intestine wall. At the opposite, if you oh sorry, I was yeah, and if you at the opposite, if you are in the food intake, you have palm oil or cocoa butter, you see that fatty acids which are carried through the intestine wall are unsaturated instead of saturated fatty acids in the case of lard. So finally, palm oil and cocoa butter are behaving like unsaturated fatty acids, like unsaturated oil, like soybean oil, canola oil, and sunflower oil. In the case of in this case, I have to give also another information, is that the saturated fatty acids which are on the 1 and 3 position are excreted as calcium salt. So the calorie which is given by this oil is less than sunflower oil or soybean oil, and so on. So this is also very, very interesting. You are absorbing less calories with palm oil and cocoa butter than with sunflower, soybean oil, and so on. This is also very, very interesting. And this can be measured at the hospital in a calorimetric room. Now I would like to give some words about the so-called minor components, being yet major nutrients. And you have carotene, and among them the beta-carotene, which is the vitamin A precursor, then tocopherol, and among them alpha-tocopherol, which is the precursor of vitamin E, and then tocotrienol. Tocotrienol is a vitamin E equivalent, but is very much more efficient than vitamin E. And now in the United States there is a very big research about tocotrienol, and mainly on delta tocotrienol, because it has been shown that this molecule is prevent from breast cancer. I read that in a scientific, I suppose you read that also. So if you compare the traditional, that is to say the African oil palm, you have here the different content, and you can see that in the case of Elaeis oleifera, which is the endemic oil palm of Amazonia, you can see that this tree has much more minor components than the African trees. And here you have the hybrid. The hybrid has been developed in Amazonia. Why? Because Elaeis oleifera has a very poor yield. It's about 700 kilos per hectare instead of some 3,000 or 4,000 kilos per hectare. So agronomists made the hybrid. Why also? Because if you try to grow Elaeis chinensis in Amazonia, this tree has a lot of disease, and he is dying. And the hybrid is very resistant. And the hybrid is producing a lot. In Colombia, there is a plantation which is giving 8,000 kilos per hectare. It's a tremendous yield. And the potentiality of this tree, the agronomist says that is about 12,000 kilos per hectare. It's an enormous yield. So here you have a just about the refining. You can see that the refining of oil is damaging the oil because you are using a lot of minor components. You can see that here you have red palm oil. Here, you see red palm oil. Right. And this is a mixture of red palm oil and rapeseed oil. I think it should be better to eat red palm oil. This is a new minor component which is studied also in America. This is a plastoquinone. Plastoquinone is an equivalent of coenzyme Q10, which is found in the animal kingdom. In the animal kingdom, In the animal kingdom, you have here a methyl, and here you have 2-methoxy instead of 2 methyls. But both are very similar. And those molecules, here is the oxidized form. You can have here a phenol, and here a phenol if it is the reduced form. Those molecules are very good carrier of electron, a very good electron carrier, and they are very good antioxidant, and they could have good application in medicine. But this is something new, and palm oil hybrid is very rich in plastoquinone. And if you look at the label here of this bottle, you will see rich in CoQ10. Is a mistake, and I will write to the company because coenzyme Q10 is a minor component from the animal kingdom. Well, palm oil has exceptional properties, as said Albert Anstra. So palm oil and its fraction elegantly solve the problem of trans isomers and positional isomers. So I will spoke just a little about positional isomers. Sorry?
You changed your slide.
Oh, sorry.
On the other way.
Very sensitive. Oh. Okay.
You give us the opportunity to make a summary. That's fine.
So palm oil and its fraction elegantly solve the problem of trans isomers and positional isomers. It's very appreciated for deep frying. Why? Because this oil is very stable to oxidation and to heat transformation. It's very appreciated also for margarine because it's very rich in solid fraction. It's appreciated also for shortening, which is an anhydrous fat for pastry. And it's very interesting also to make, as shown Albert Dijkstra, to make a cocoa butter equivalent. And the EU allows to put 5% of this CBE in cocoa butter to make chocolate. And also, of course, it's a source of value-added biomolecules. I don't know if my time is over. Oh, okay. So I will conclude. I will conclude directly because my friend Dijkstra, well, refining reduces the bioactive compounds content such as carotene, tocopherol, and tocotrienol. It would be advisable to make more place to red palm oil, be it from a common or hybrid palm oil. Blending red palm oil with fruit oil, soy, rape, sunflower, and so on should be a wise act to develop, as you have in this bottle. Yeah. Situation today, the image of palm oil is tarnished for the consumer. Up-to-date scientists and producers association must intensify their communication effectively faced to the demonization maintained by pressure groups. The RSPO is a suitable approach, but the public is not sufficiently informed. The controversy over saturated fatty acids, observed particularly in France, in Europe, and in the American continent, has two origins. It is due to insufficient scientific knowledge leading to ignorance of basic biochemical mechanisms of digestion of human food intake. The phenomenon affects university teachers supposed to teach the biochemical and biological mechanisms known for over 50 years. It also affects managers of food industry and nutritionists supposed to provide the best advice to consumers. These deficiencies lead to cast doubt among policy makers, managers of food industry, and consumers, which have assimilated, therefore, ideas totally wrong. The debate is also fed with politico-economic reasons, like various protectionist manipulations based on erroneous stereotypes described previously, to protect any national production. The soybean oil producing countries of the American continent demonize palm oil as the producers of sunflower and rapeseed oil in Europe. Dairy lobbies have to be designed also. This intellectual disorder leads to a simplistic perception of lipids by referring only to their overall fatty acid composition, as if lipids were merely free fatty acids mixtures. This trivial approach naturally leads to a misclassification in terms of good and bad fats in human health. No oil is perfect, and palm oil is no exception. They have all their advantages and disadvantages. This is the reason why food industry performs smart assemblies to improve simultaneously physical, sensory, and nutritional qualities of finished products. A 60% fat spread composed of a blend of rapeseed, sunflower, and palm oil is one of the most elaborate examples. It is therefore unnecessary to demonize palm oil and to want to delete it because the food processing industry would be put in big trouble and the consumer would lose a lot in terms of nutritional quality of food involved. So thank you very much for your attention.